You're the project manager for Jijali. What does your job entail?
So my job is basically to ensure that we are meeting the deliverables that we have in the set time. So that involves managing the resources that we have and organizing them to ensure that we meet our goals. So resources in this case could be, let's say, the team that you have. It could be your finances, the budget that you have. It could be skills. It could also be tools that you're using or technology or something like this. Basically anything that helps you to move your project forward. Yeah.
In order for Jijali to be successful, what role does project management play?
So with project management, it has 4 stages, yeah? So there's a part where you come up with what you want to do. So in our case, we wanted to launch Jijali. And then once you've figured out what you want to do, then you have to plan for it. So you create a plan for your project. From there, you implement your plan, which is where the hard work really begins. And after you implement it, then you need to monitor the progress of your project. Are you on track? Are you behind schedule? And what do you need to do to get back on track? And finally, when the project closes, then there's a lot of reporting to be done. There's a lot of looking at what are the challenges, how did you overcome them, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So according to you, what are some of the skills that you possess that have made Jijali a success?
So I think a project manager needs to have a lot of different skills, but I'll maybe just name maybe the ones that I use the most. So the first one is definitely planning. So a project is only as good as the plan that is put in place. So you need to have a very, very clear plan with clear timelines, clear milestones, and you need to know who's supposed to be delivering on what. The second thing is monitoring. So after you've created your plan and you implement it, you need to constantly be monitoring your progress and figuring out whether you're on track or behind schedule, and then taking actions to remedy that. The third one I would mention is risk management. So with every project, there are risks. There are things that you know might come up that might prevent you from achieving your goal, either on time or even achieving it at all. So you kind of need to look and see what are the potential challenges that might come up and already work on them before they happen. So that's what we call risk management. Finally, I would mention team management, because most likely you're working with a team of people, whether they are in-house or virtual or consultants or whatever. And so you need to know how to manage that team to ensure everyone is doing what they need to be doing. Other than that, just some other skills I would mention is financial planning and budgeting. Communication, because you'll be working with a lot of different people, and you might also need to have some industry knowledge. So if you're doing a construction project, then it makes sense to have at least some knowledge on construction. A tech project, it might help to also understand some technical terms and things like that. Yeah.
What are some of the project management tools that you use?
We use mostly 3 tools. The first one is Excel, so that's why we have our Gantt chart and store our data. The second one we use is Podio. So Podio has our deliverables and our calendar, and that's where we check to see whether we're on track or not. And finally, we use something called MyStask to allocate specific tasks to individuals in the team and to check whether they've been done or not and whether we are on track. But there's so many tools out there. There's Microsoft Projects, there's Zoho Projects, there's Asana, there's Trello. It's almost overwhelming, the number of tools out there. So I would recommend that you kind of do some research and figure out what works for you and your team.
So for every project to be successful, it needs clearly well laid out objectives and goals.
Yes.
What steps do you take in setting goals and objectives for Jijali?
So you have your overall goal. Ours was launch Jijali, which is a really big goal. But then now you need to break that down into smaller, like bite-sized objectives, And so once you have these, then you need to pick your priorities, because when you say launch Jijali, there's a lot in there. You know, you need to think about content, you need to think about mentors, you need to think about the platform, you need to think about so many different things. So pick your priorities first. Secondly, after this, you need to set SMART goals. So SMART means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So let's say instead of saying the platform needs to be ready, you could say the platform should be functioning efficiently and should have no bugs by June 2019. That's a much better goal than just saying the platform should be working, because then you know what exactly you're looking out for and by when it should be done. Then finally, you need to allocate these objectives to specific people. Most likely you're working in a team, so you need to know who's supposed to deliver on what and by when.
Is there a point you felt like Jijali is going off track, and what did you do to get it back on track?
Definitely. That was in September 2019. So we were supposed to have launched Jijali by some point, but then we were having some technical difficulties. So with tech products, there's always a risk that something will come up, a new bug or something like this, or something is not functioning as it should be. So then our start date had to be pushed forward, and this affected a lot of things because we had trainees who were ready to join the platform, we had mentors who were ready to start learning, we had our external partners who were expecting that the project should already have started, and so we had to create like a kind of mini project plan and figure out how we're going to work going forward. So maybe that's another skill that I would mention, the aspect of problem solving, you know, being able to come up with plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. And finally, keep in mind that you also have some stakeholders, and when you have changes in your project, you need to communicate that to them. So in this case, stakeholders could be your clients, it could be maybe your project donors, people who've given you money to make this project work. It could be maybe the people that you're working with, maybe you have some partners that you're implementing this with. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind.
Right. Thank you, Lorna. With that, I believe you all have an idea of what project management entails.